What you're about to see is a true story, a story of endurance and true love. After going to a fast food restaurant, Chen Wong from Utah in the United States remembered a story dating 30 years ago, and that's what we're going to show you today. Today, we show you a video a little different than normal. Watch the video until the end to understand the message that one wishes to get across. 30 years ago, my parents barely got along. They argued all the time and ended up separating. One day, my father came back to the house drunk, broke several objects, and attempted to lay a hand on my mother. Therefore, I tried to defend her. My father seemed to be completely crazy. That night, my little brother and I left the house with my mother to protect her. We spent the night in a hotel room. The following day, thinking that my father seemed in a better state, we returned home, but that wasn't the case. When we tried to enter, the doors were locked. My father yelled that he wouldn't let us enter, and then we left. There was no turning back. All we had to do was call the authorities. I remember we returned there the following day with a police officer. He gave us plastic bags and said to us, "You have 10 minutes to pack up all your stuff, no more." We entered and filled the bags with as much clothes as possible. Those were our last moments in a house where I spent many years. It was very sad and depressing. When the 10 minutes had passed, we were asked to leave the house, but I hadn't managed to take my trophies, my medals, or my favorite music. I even had to abandon my turtle. At the end of the day, we went to a village. My mother rented the cheapest apartment possible, which was only a simple bedroom. When the neighbors found out that we arrived, they became very sad and gave us food, an old cooker, chairs, and a bed. My mother then tried to withdraw money and discovered that my father had cancelled her credit card. We were destroyed. We didn't have money nor a family to help us. We had nothing at all. Despite all, my mother always told us that everything will be okay and we shouldn't worry. I had no idea where she found the necessary strength to put up with all these hardships. She never gave up. I couldn't realize all that my mother did for me until I became a single father. When I was little, she always did everything she could for my little brother and me. We never lacked anything, and if necessary, she didn't hesitate to work overtime to meet all our needs. This evening, sitting with my brother in a fast food restaurant, we love fast food, I noticed that a new waiter came to take our order. She spoke to my little brother. When she was serving us drinks, she told us that she was a single mother and she had nobody to help her. It seemed to me that she did not want this job, but she was forced to do it. I noticed that she was often lost in her thoughts, and that made me sad. In that moment, I was reminded of my mother. This woman had the same strength as my mother. I do not know whether she chose to be here or not, but she even worked on Sunday evenings to be able to buy a pair of shoes for her baby and to earn money to ensure the future and happiness of her son. I could understand her and feel her pain. Being a single mother without anyone to support you is truly difficult. I know that the tip I'm going to give her would not be enough to pay her rent or the treatment of her son. I know that it will not be enough to fill her fridge, but I hope to give her a reason to smile this evening. Perhaps she would be happier than normal when she returns home. Now that I think about it, perhaps somebody did the same thing for my mother and supported her so she would not give up. All is clear now. I am very lucky to have a mother who sacrificed everything for me. My mother taught me how to be a good, polite, and modest person, to fight for what I want, and to never give up. Finally, I want to show my respect for every single mother who fights every day for her children. You are wonderful, and I'm sure your kids will appreciate everything you do for them. This is what Wong wrote on Facebook, and without doubt, this beautiful story deserved to be shared. Being a single mother deserves appreciation and admiration. It is in no way a reason to be ashamed. But this video is not finished. Let me tell you another story, one of another mother, but who has nothing to do with this one. You know, sharing pregnancy photos on social media these days is something very common. Hollywood stars, models, celebrities, and all simple women do it. These women are so excited to soon be a mother that they want to share this joy with the entire world. This is what happened to Natasha Kirkland, a resident of North Carolina who also wanted to show the world her pretty, round, pregnant belly. On February the 16th, she changed her Facebook profile picture and replaced it with a photo showing her strongly rounded belly. Warm comments congratulating her quickly started to appear under her photo. But unfortunately, while everything was going for the best, some people noticed something weird and shocking that made them call the police immediately. What could they have noticed? Look carefully at the picture, and if you are observant, you should also notice something that has nothing to do with it. In fact, one of the internet users saw accessories that are normally used for injecting heroin on the table, a syringe with a needle and a soup spoon. All that was missing was a garrote used to increase the blood flow. This makes it easier to find a vein and to inject the medicine. And this garrote was there, already tightened around her left arm under the elbow joint. By deduction, the internet users came to the conclusion that the woman had just taken heroin or was about to. The effects of the heroin injection during pregnancy tend to be catastrophic. This implies not only the risk of an HIV infection and bacterial infections, but also serious damage to the fetus or even death. The newborns exposed to heroin also have convulsions and serious respiratory problems. From the next day, the police seized the case and immediately arrested the young 26-year-old woman. And after the investigation, she was not only convicted for the possession of drugs, but also for extortion, fraud for using false credit cards, and driving under the influence of alcohol. Today, Natasha is in prison. Since her cell, she wrote a message on Facebook in which she explained that her account was pirated and that she hadn't taken drugs during her pregnancy. However, it is difficult to give her credit. Pay attention to your friends, your health, and the health of those close to you and the most precious. Comment what you thought of Natasha and her pregnancy. And here is a third and final story, and I am sure that you will instantly recognize the protagonist of this one. It's about the lovely and unique Steve Jobs. Who doesn't know about the spectacular career of the famous Steve Jobs? Several among us have at least one of the products that he designed in their pockets or their bags. The founder of the Apple Society disappeared in 2011, being, in effect, a visionary who revolutionized the technological world and marked the history of computing. Everybody is saying that inevitably at home, all the members of the family must be fascinated by technological innovations and have the latest iPhone or iPad. However, in an article published by the New York Times, the creator of the Apple brand had revealed that he didn't let his own children use his products. To the journalist Nick Bilton, he confirmed, "They don't use the iPhone, not even the iPad. We limit our children's access to technology." And more surprisingly, he's not the only one. In the family of Evan Williams, one of the founders of Twitter, the children don't have a tablet, a Twitter account, and are encouraged to read books in paper form. Chris Anderson, the former chief editor of Wired, a magazine specializing in technological innovation, has an essential rule for his 5 children, aged from 6 years to 17 years: never have a screen in the bedroom. "I am a witness to the dangers of technology. I have also had the personal experience, and I do not want it to affect my children," he said. In general, the majority of these geek parents limit the time spent on the tablet or smartphone to around 30 minutes per day during the week. Others reserve the tablets for the weekend only. From 10 years old, their children use computers, but only to do their homework. In the Silicon Valley, the parents who spend their days creating tablets, iPhone applications, and video games hardly let their children touch a smartphone. This mistrust also manifests itself in the choice of school of some of these parents. Numerous directors of Google, Yahoo, Apple and eBay send their children to a Waldorf establishment where the pedagogy is particularly anti-technological. It's a very posh school which has the particularity to ban the use of computers, iPads and television until secondary school because according to them, technology represents a threat for creativity, personality and the concentration of students. From the nursery to secondary school, there are no computers, even fewer tablets. Instead, we find blackboards, chalk, colouring pencils and books. The children do pottery, knitting and gardening. 3/4 of these students have parents who work with new technology, but the pedagogy philosophy of the establishment is that computers harm creativity, sociability and children's concentration. Do you understand these choices for these children on behalf of Steve Jobs, Evan Williams, and from all these affiliates of new technology? Or in contrast, are they totally in the West? Which of these 3 stories inspired you the most? Tell us what you thought in the comments. Don't hesitate to put a blue thumb if you liked the video, and subscribe to not miss the next one. See you soon.